Hi, this is Dr. Betsy Greenleaf, and we're back with another week of Body, Mind, Spirit. I'm very excited to have with us today Sara Gabriella Batelli, and I can't wait to talk to her. So, she's got such an interesting background. And I'm not even going to do an introduction because I want to just get down to it and talk to her about what she does and how she got into this field. So, welcome with us today, Sara.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me. Very happy to be here.
So, explain what is it that you do?
Well, so I'm an architect and I'm an interior designer, but I have done a ton of healing and when I was a little girl, I could feel energy in spaces. And so I always thought, oh my God, there must be a science that explains this. It's just impossible that I just feel this stuff and that what is this? And so I found out what it was. You can hear the canal because I'm in Venice. There's no way to shut that off. It's the boats passing through the canal, in case you hear it. So what happened is that through time and through healing and through meeting so many different healers and investigating, etc., I found I found the answer, I would say, right? Not only the answer to how energy moves in spaces, why you come into a space and you're like, something is off here, or I don't feel well. And very often our senses are, we're not so attuned, we're not so aware because we're like producing and the day is happening and do. But when you start being more aware, you come to space and you're like, this is weird, or your breathing changes, or things like that. And so I started investigating and I studied an energy science in India, which is kind of, I would say, a little bit forgotten because there are very many different currents and they're recuperating the knowledge themselves. And I also found out that so many things that I felt as a little girl and as an adult actually were past life memories. So I would see images of things, I would just have a knowing of things, and I could never explain it to myself. And all of a sudden, all these things wove each other, it became a logical image and an understandable and explainable thing. And so what I do now is yes, I'm an interior designer, I'm an architect. However, I incorporate the whole energy science. So where do you have to put or not things in your home for certain things to happen? And the other thing that I do with people is self-development, because the home is an expression of ourself, of who we are. I don't know if you've ever noticed that some people, you go to their home and you're like, oh, wow, this is just, it breathes you so much, and you see the person in their home. And that usually happens when people have spent a lot of thought around their home, when they're very self-developed for themselves. The Maslow pyramid, right? When they are on top of the pyramid, they've solved certain things, and now they're developing themselves, and you can see that in your home. And so the cool thing about it is you can actually look at your home, understand what you've done in your home, and by changing what you've done in your home, you transform. So it's basically a tool with which it's a self-development tool, which is fun, which shows so much about you, about what you carry, and that's what I do, and I love it.
When I first heard about what you did, I was like, I am so intrigued. First of all, I just think that that is just an amazing combination because I never would have thought about architecture and combining with this like holistic aspect. I would have, I always had this, I guess, impression that it was just kind of very cut and dry. It's like building buildings, interior decorating, like stick a chair in the corner. Like this is just absolutely fascinates me.
Mind blowing.
So yeah. And how have you helped people with being able to do this?
Well. So, some people have, we all have a calling, we all have something that we've come to do in this lifetime. And very often we don't know what that is. Many people don't know. Um, I remember when I was a little girl, I would see people and I would see their essence because I sometimes, I can't explain. It's just there. It's this thing that I see people and I can feel their personality often more than themselves. And so I would wonder, um, but why aren't you doing XYZ? If you are, and people couldn't see themselves. And so um, the magic thing about this is that we all want to fill a void when the human being is always seeking for something. Even though we're not aware, there's always a void. We're always seeking for something. And when you get to the bottom of what you're seeking, it is nothing more than understanding your path. When you know your path in life, things are so much easier because you know what you got to go for. And when you don't know exactly where to go, when you don't know which job to choose, when you don't know, it's unlivable. I don't even know how people do it, because you get up in the morning and you go to this job and, well, maybe I should get a better job, or maybe I should get married, or maybe I should have a kid. Or if you don't have a logical answer to all those things, knowing who you are, life is much more difficult. And so this is what I do. I somehow have I don't know, a gift, a something where I see things in people and I show them through tools. I get them to understand themselves better. And through them understanding themselves better, they get on a path that is different. It's just a different feeling within yourself of where to go. And I do that through the home, basically.
That is amazing. And I'm starting to think, I'm like, oh my gosh, because right now my home probably, and the office I'm sitting in now really reflects my
Everybody's a
life.
candidate.
Because what you see behind me is nice and neat, but if you could see the other side, it's complete chaos. And that's what I'm going through right now in my life. Is I feel like complete chaos. And that is amazing, because I keep wanting to be like, if I could just get my office cleaned up, then life would be in order. But I keep adding too much on my plate, and the office gets more messy, and then my life gets more messy. So it's interesting to see that connection.
Yes, and it even goes further. No, there are certain things that are kind of logical to understand, like this thing that you just said. If you have a chaos in your office, then obviously you're overwhelmed with something, right? Fine. But there are other things, like when I was in India, and I'm someone who I always need to see and feel and know that it's true. I can't just, for example, astrology, Vedic astrology, Indian astrology, and all these things. I have had to test that over and over and over and over and over before I would believe it, before I would know who knows and who doesn't know and why do they know and all of that. So when I went to the Western mind, right? I grew up in Switzerland, so it's like square. It's like, you know. So I went to India, and these teachers, they had clients of them, and I was able to talk to them. And these clients would say things that are just, as a Westerner, you're like, what? It's like, oh yes, since I moved my stove around, I have no more problems with my neighbors, and I'm making money. So it's quite mind-blowing. It's not just the things that we would think are logical. There's things that we cannot grasp because our level of consciousness is not so high. So it's very deep.
You know what? I'm loving this, because I might be using this interview to tell my husband that we need to redo our kitchen, because I've been wanting to redo my kitchen forever, and I feel unsettled because the kitchen is not redone. I'm like this. I'm gonna say it's a mental health. it's, it's for mental health.
It absolutely. Let me give you an example that is absolutely easy to understand. People that are brought up with a lot of difficulties in life, and they're used to having to get over hurdles. Their home is full of hurdles. They got to go and get something from the cabinet or the bathroom. They always need to get a step, a ladder, and get up there. They sit down at the coffee table, that every time they want to sit down on their sofa, they got to move the coffee table. The houses are full of subconscious things of what we are. So when you look at those things and you remove them, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I was doing this and I was doing that. I don't want that anymore in my life. You got to go. And so you change that, and it's like an exercise, but it's a fun one. It's light, It's like, wait a minute. Now all of a sudden in my house, I don't have this hurdle anymore. And so when you go through life and you see that you've created for yourself so many hurdles, and there, hurdles can be every time you got to get into your car, you did not move that thing around, or you parked your car in a certain way because you're subconsciously used to doing it. All of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, no. I'm going to move that thing, and my way into the car is going to be easy. And so you start subconsciously putting in those patterns that are so healthy and so healing, because we all have stuff. We all have luggage.
Oh my goodness. And it's funny because I'm also thinking about my poor mother. When I was growing up, I was the kid that had the messiest room. I was the one where I had just like a path from my bedroom door to my bed, and like everything else was crazy. And I think my mom, after a certain amount of time, was just like, I give up. So
Maybe it was a defense mechanism. You don't know. There's multiple answers to all these things.
that is absolutely fascinating. And so, how do you incorporate when you go like walk into someone's space? How do you start the process of figuring out what to do for them?
My gut. My gut has the answer. I don't know. I just know. I can't. It's just. I'm just. I'm authentic. I can't tell you. What you see is what there is. Tomorrow I go on a motorcycle and people think, oh, she's got makeup. No, tomorrow I don't have any. So I'm what you see. I go into a room and I go and I meet a person, and after a while, I just know. I talk to them and I find the one thing, and it's like bling, and then I show them through other people that did not know, and they show them the same thing. I can't explain. I just know, because there are layers to us, right? So you, for example, are super busy right now. You only have a certain amount of things, like me and like everybody else. There is a certain amount of things that we can take right now, right? So it's like right now, it's not about taking care of the whole thing. It's about, why don't I just start with my office and I start feeling better? Because what I hear also through your words is there's something about you don't feel good about this fact that this messiness, there's something that is making you feel bad about it. So this part of you feeling bad about this messiness, you got to understand why you've got it. Maybe it's a defense mechanism. Maybe you need it because you are creative. Maybe it is something that is just part of you. But if it is part of you, then you got to make peace with it. And there is a whole internal process with your soul, with your self-love that is happening there. And so, it's bit by bit by bit by bit.
This is
It's very
absolutely
personal, and this is a podcast, so I don't want to, I don't.
yeah, no, that's okay. I don't mind you using me as an example. That's great. So that's why I put myself out there. So, but I love this, and I want to find out some more after we take a break.
Christmas is believed to be a magical time when angels roam the earth, bringing messages of hope and good cheer. Do you need a Christmas angel? I Need a Christmas Angel, a Christmas novella from Tolson Publishing. Kelly Benson has spent the last 5 years hiding in Chicago after her crush Gabe brought a pregnant wife home. Gabe is raising his 4-year-old daughter alone after his wife of 5 years moved to Tampa with her boyfriend. Depressed and hopeless after being fired a week before Christmas, Kelly wishes for a Christmas angel to come work its magic. Can the magic of Christmas drive the loneliness away? Will a Christmas angel bring a love Kelly's way? I Need a Christmas Angel by Raquel Tolson. Order your copy today. Available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and TolsonBooks.com.
So we're back with Sara Gabriella Batellia. Thank you once again, Sara, for being with us. So I want to ask you about this theory about past lives, because here's something that, as a doctor and as a scientist, it's when we get sometimes into the woo-woo, I love it. At the same time, it's a little hard. Like you were saying before, you have to test it and see things happen. I've had strange things happen where, like, I've known other people that are into energy work, and they have told me things. Like, I'll give you a quick example. I had a friend who told me once about that some of the energy she was feeling from me was coming from my grandfather, and that there was some kind of issue with a bankruptcy, and that was affecting my issues with money. And I was like, So I went back to my dad and I asked him, and he was like, yeah. It was not like a grandfather, it was like a great grandfather or something like that, who had a clothing company, and there was like a fire in New York City, and he ended up going bankrupt. And it was like, this person did not know me. This, like, it was craziness. So I want to ask you, like, what is your experience with things with past lives, and if you can explain it to me, because yeah, I love it, but I don't get it.
Okay. First of all, past lives exist in the Bible. They have stopped being taught hundreds of years ago because it was not in the interest of the church, but it is written in the Bible. You can YouTube it and Google it and you'll find it. First of all, that. Second, there are, in India, everybody believes in reincarnation, right? So over there, it's just the most common and normal thing. I myself, okay, I have such clear memories. It is mind blowing. When I was, and just for the record, I understood precisely what these memories are about a few years ago, not when I was a child, okay? So imagine me growing up in Zurich, Switzerland, German speaking, in an Italian family, watching TV and hearing cha-cha-cha, Cuban cha-cha-cha on TV and starting to cry. And I was like, oh, this is home. This is home.
I just got chills.
I spent years figuring out, like, what? I started listening to Cuban music. I went to Cuba. I spent 2 weeks in Cuba. I did nothing but cry because there was a nostalgia. And by the way, I speak about this in one of my videos a lot. So, because people want to know. So, there is this nostalgia and this feeling that there is something you have to finish. Okay. So what happens when you have several past lives and the memories are vivid? First of all, it is possible that you've got the feeling that you have to finish something. And then there is a nostalgia. I have a friend, just as an example. She is from Venezuela. She lives in Panama. And all of her friends are Swiss German. And she's completely attracted to Switzerland. She doesn't know why. She knows she's got to go there. But she has no answer. She's not doing the research that I do for myself. I always needed to know what's going on. So she will eventually get to it. But I have another friend. He opens the drawer of hotels in a very particular valley of Switzerland. And every time he opens a drawer, he says, I see images. I look at an antique photograph of that valley in the mountains, and I just have imagery and information. It pulls me. It talks to me. Okay. So the past life things, you can't explain it in 2 minutes, but there is an array of things that you need to understand. First of all, to know how it works like this, that we have, that's just theory. That's just the way it works. We have lived many lives. There is a process where you forget in this lifetime because otherwise you're just overwhelmed. But explain this to me. How is it possible that you grow up as a child and you already know how to do certain things? I have a friend, he's 22. You give him the music of Debussy in a week, he plays like a concert piano player, Liebestraum, okay? Just like that. How is it possible that some people just know things? And he's very clear because he's got memories and he sees things, okay? How is it possible? So the theory as in how do things work is like that. I'm sorry, I have this, can you hear me? Because there's just the WhatsApp. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay.
So, so the theory is that we have different lives, and in these lives, we do good things and less good things. And that is our karma, okay? So our karma, what happens with it is that we then come to this lifetime to finish a certain amount of things. What does that mean? It means that when you were not able to finish X, Y, Z in one of the lifetimes, So there's only one lifetime that defines what you're going to do in this lifetime. That is, I can tell you my story afterwards, and it's just so correct. It's just mathematical. So when you feel that you haven't finished one of these things in another lifetime, then you try to finish it, and you've got this nostalgia, or you've got, this is why certain people feel like they have to become a doctor. They've got to finish. What is happening right now, for example, for very many women, is that why are so many women in a period of time in which they are finally giving time to themselves to finish who they are, right? Why? Because it is a generation, a period in the world where it is possible, but it is because in so many other lifetimes we could not finish what we had come to do, right? And so if I look at my own generation, and that is also how you can understand yourself, there are just so many women that were strong. My grandmother is one of the first Italian women who drove a car. That's like a revolution. My mom is 79 right now, and she's on a motorcycle in Sardinia with 10 people.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going, goodbye. She's asking me, why are you leaving on a motorcycle? Are you crazy? I'm like, no, I'm just your daughter. What do you want? So the differences between her and I and my grandma is that I am able to finish, to do what I need to do, so this is a little bit mixed up, a little bit how it works. Okay. So when I went to India, why do I know it so precisely? Because besides the Cuban memory, I have many other memories. Okay. I know that I was a jazz singer. I just, when I was a girl, I would just start singing jazz a la Ella Fitzgerald. I would just scat. Like, where should this come from? I have never been in New Orleans. I'm not American. I'm like, well, my parents don't listen to jazz. Like, what is this? What? So the funny thing is that out of all these memories that I have, also with people, I meet people and I just know, because there's a way to learn. You learn through time how to figure out when something is just chemistry that you have with someone, you just get along well, and when there's luggage, good or bad luggage, when there's someone that you've just been together already because you just feel them, them, right? So when I went to India, and I was still looking for certain answers, et cetera, and things came to me that were just mind-blowing. I'm sitting on top of a hill in the middle of nowhere in India with one of my teachers. She's an 80-year-old lady. When she talks, the knowledge that comes out of her is there's just centuries of knowledge, okay, of a spiritual family, centuries of knowledge. It is absolutely mind-blowing. And the first day I'm there, she takes out a document about Vastu Shastra, this science that I studied, and which the one that when I was a girl, I always thought, oh, there's energy in the space. What is this? What is this? And I never wanted to study Feng Shui because it was Chinese. It wasn't my thing. I don't know. So I'm sitting on top of a hill, and there's a Chinese lady, the Indian lady, and she takes out a manuscript and she starts reading from it. And she speaks about the ethics of architecture and what architecture really is and what the meaning is and blah, 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 blah. And tears just came down my cheeks. It was the first time that someone would say something to me that I have always known. I always knew what she was saying. And it was like coming home to someone who knows who I am. So this is my home.
It was just, I just got chills again when every story you're telling me, I keep getting chills.
Yes. And so that is why I tell people that when you start understanding in depth who you are, who your soul is, nothing matters anymore. I've reached a level for myself of inner peace about who I am. I don't need to prove anything to anybody. Nothing. Because I know, and it has got nothing to do with ego, when we need to still prove we still need to take the challenge or resolve this. No, I know what I'm doing because what I'm doing is so deeply attuned to who I am. And it's just it's like a rock. It's like, that's it.
This is amazing.
It's magic. It's magic. When you understand in depth who you are, why you feel certain things, which are the things that you've come to learn in this lifetime, why you have a difficult dad or a difficult mom, or why you were poor or rich or thin or fat, or I don't know, whatever it is, why you've got problems with drugs, why you can't find God, why you don't want to eat, why you don't even think about what is God. People, whatever it is, there is an answer to all these things. And when you start picking yourself, your soul, your history apart, and just nobody can attack me, or it's like, I know who I am.
That
It's
is
way better.
that is absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Love,
Oh my
love,
goodness.
divine love. It's just light.
I love this. And like I said, I could do this for hours, but where can people find out more information about you?
So I have a brand new website. I have a brand new website. The thing is this, what I'm doing right now is I have basically two courses. The first one is a foundations course in which I do what I just explained. So I go one-on-one and first of all, I meet the person and I just feel the person. And then I go to those people because I know so many incredible people that have got a very specific talent or very specific area. And because I'm just so Swiss sometimes, I just want the best of the, it's got to be good. So I've just selected some people that just know their stuff. And so what I do is I take these people and I do a Vedic astrology, which is completely different from a Western astrology, or I do a hand reading. I don't know if you know that the hands, you can see absolutely everything from your illnesses. Everything is in your hands. It's crazy. Also in your face, by the way. There are people that look at you and they know when you're going to die, if you're going to marry, if you're not, they just know everything. So there's just this mind-blowing stuff. And so what I do is I take people through this process, and it's like a full immersion in who are you, okay? And then after that, you need to, there's certain things that you start settling all this new knowledge, and you start having your intuition goes up and you're like, I saw this here. Yes. And then let me go here, and you start experiencing. And then I have a course in which I take people through 12 steps. You can a little bit look at it like the Maslow pyramid. It's going up, and it starts with, for example, looking at protection. So where in your home are you showing that you're not protected? And that has so many layers. It can be people invading you. Like, let's say that your neighbors are just always disturbing you. What does that mean? How have you been brought up? Is there some soul luggage there? What kind of soul luggage is it? Blah, 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 blah. And then there's another one of the elements of the course, which is about love. Is your house even set up for love? Sometimes our houses, I'm just going to do an example, which is crazy. Let's say that you're a girl and your bedroom is all pink. You're 40 and you want to get married. How are you going to get a guy? He comes to your bedroom and your bedroom is all pink and I don't know what. This is just super basic example. Okay. So is your home set up for love, for loving relationships? Is it set up for family relationships? Is it possible that socialization, which is not socializing, socialization happens in your home, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I have this course, and these are the things that I do besides designing homes.
That is absolutely amazing. I think I'm going to be definitely checking out this course. I think I need you. So what's the website that they can find you at?
bioharmonize.com.
Great. So people can go check out her website. Also, I just want to thank you again, Sara, for being with us today. This has been wonderful. I'm so excited about this. I also want to just remind the listeners to go to WYTV7.org and make sure that you check out our other wonderful programming. And if you feel the need, please click on that donate button, because the money that you donate is used not only to support wonderful programs like this, but also to help community programs. So once again, also you can check me out at Dr. Betsy Greenleaf. com. And don't forget to tune in next week for another episode of Body, Mind, Spirit.